Of course, my advice is, real estate is a long-term investment. You don't go in, speculate 1 year, 2 year, and try to make a lot of money. You never know. Like the COVID situation has proven us, that things can really, happen out of the blue, and if you're not planned for the long term, you get burned.
Hey everyone, Darren here. Thanks for joining Density Insights, where we interview experts worldwide to give you a better idea of how the real estate industry works. Experts such as real estate agents, developers, world-class investors, advisors, and more can break down any myth and misunderstanding for your own real estate exploration. Now, for the audience that might not know, we're based in Hong Kong, the home of the world's top real estate investors. For us, real estate is kind of like our bread and butter. As we're very familiar with how Hong Kongers' preference when it comes to real estate investing, it's always interesting to know how other people from different backgrounds, from different regions, think about real estate investing. Today, we have Peter to share his experience with us about working with different people, different investors from different regions on how they approach real estate investing. In addition, he'll give us an update regarding the Singapore real estate market and Japan real estate market, which he's familiar with. I hope you like the show and have a great day. Thank you. Hey Peter, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Hi, Darren.
Yeah, how's like for the audience might not know, I met you through a friend Leanne in Singapore, and then because like it's very hard for me to find someone in Singapore that understand the real estate sector and people have a credential. And Leanne was like, "Hey, Peter is the person that I have to talk to more about Singapore market and then Japan market because you're working on that. So it's an honor to have you, and then thanks so much for your time and effort to come on board."
No, Darren, it's my pleasure, to be on your show.
Thank you. Well, before that, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and your work?
Okay, yeah, sure. So my name is Peter Koh. I'm the Key Executive Officer for HJ Real Estate. That's KEO in short. KEO is a very unique terminology in our real estate market. So I hold a license to the Singapore office, and what we do is, my role is actually a lot on compliance. So I need to follow the guidelines of the government to run the company in terms of sales and marketing, so that the customers' interest is protected. And I've been in the business for 22 years.
Whoa,
yeah.
Okay, it's a long time.
So prior to starting this company, I was once in a bigger company, Century 21. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing local sales and leasing for those years. Doing private residential. I do office sales, leasing. I also help clients with industrial properties like factories and warehouses as well. And over those years, in fact, I've done a office leasing in Hong Kong as well.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So I helped
Okay.
an IT client that was in 1999.
Oh, okay.
And he wanted to expand into Hong Kong after setting up his Singapore office. And I got him one floor at Manyi Building.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Very
Wow.
interesting, because at that time the Singapore DBS Dao Hen Bank was just at the ground floor. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, and then he took one of the units above. Yeah, and
That's good.
And I was in Hong Kong earlier just after the COVID exploded in Hong Kong. I was in Hong Kong, and I walked
Okay.
past Manyi Building, and it was still standing nice and beautiful there. Yeah, so it's a good time.
Oh, everything's okay
live
over
in
there.
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
good.
right.
Yeah, because I think when we chit-chat before, right, you said you always come
Yeah.
to Hong Kong. So, and obviously, Hong Kong is a place where it's pretty close to Singapore relatively. And then,
Yes.
wait, how often do you come to Hong Kong?
Well, I try to go to Hong Kong every year because I have a business partner in Hong Kong. They're of course a big real estate broker in Hong Kong. So we are business partner. They send their expats clients, mainly the Fortune 500 companies, to Singapore. And because they don't have an office in Singapore, I'm actually doing the groundworks for them. So I take the clients to look for properties to settle down. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah. But
expatriates,
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you do a lot of different things then.
Yeah, so that's the Singapore business. Whereas for Japan-wise, when we started HJ Real Estate, the head office is actually in Tokyo. So I get the support of Housing Japan in Tokyo, as well as HJ Asset Management back in Japan for clients that want to invest into Japan. We have our head office with about 60 people supporting us with our work here. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, because like when I'm thinking about what to ask you for this interview, and that's interesting because that like, you know, not only that you have experience in Singapore, you have some in Hong Kong, some in Japan. So I think there's be a wide range of questions because like in my mind, there's a lot of questions I have with both markets, right? Japan and also Singapore. So to kickstart, right?
Yeah, it's two big markets.
Yeah. For the audience that might not familiar with Singapore, like myself, what are the areas which overseas investors tend to invest? And then would you mind elaborate a bit on the neighborhood because to give the audience a better picture how it's like?
Sure. So for investors that come to Singapore, the natural choice would be District 9 in Singapore. So this district actually covers our famous shopping belt, which is Orchard Road and Somerset. Yeah. So that's like right in the hustle and bustle, yeah, of the city. And of course, close by would be Emerald Hill and Cane Hill. These two streets are slightly off the main shopping area, but you know these two streets have got houses with very nice their respective charms. Okay, there are quite a lot of conservation houses over there. You know, so it's the old charm. Besides that, in District 9, we also have the Nassim area. All right, so Nassim area, you will find a lot of embassies over there and a huge good class bungalows owned by those multi-millionaires or even billionaires. Yeah, and this is really highly sought after by the local and foreign investors. So besides the embassies, the good class bungalows, there are also high-end apartments where foreign investors can buy into. All right, and of course in District 9, stone throw away would be the popular River Valley Road or that area. So this is an enclave for expatriates living in Singapore, because a lot of condominiums are actually built along the Singapore River. So it's actually very nice living environment. And so that's the main target when investors come into Singapore. They usually will look at District 9. And then besides 9, then there's actually District 10. District 10 covers Tanglin, Holland Village. I'm sure you heard of Holland Village, and Bukit Timah area. Yeah. So that's a neighboring district to 9. Of course, the numbers tells that they are kind of like side by side. Okay. After 10 would be District 11. District 11 would be Newton and Novena Road. So these two districts, 10 and 11, they're about like 10-15 minutes drive from District 9. So it's still very close to Orchard Road and the business district. So in that way, it's still very popular with the foreign investors. And whereas 10 and 11, in terms of pricing, I would say it's about 10 to 20% lower this District 9. So for investors that doesn't want to spend so much for a start, they can look at District 10 and 11 besides 9. And of course, of late, District 1 and 2, which is our business center, is also getting popular. I'm not sure if you've read it, but the billionaire James Dyson He recently made headlines when he bought a super penthouse in District 2. I think that cost him about 73 million. Yeah,
Really?
it's 73
Wow.
million Singapore dollars. Yeah, right up above. I think it's higher than 60th story, so you get the full, city view. In fact, you could probably see as far as some Malaysian and Indonesian island
Wow.
from that vantage point. Yeah,
That's crazy.
and the crazy thing about it is it's a 99-year leasehold property.
Oh, really? That's a long
It's not
time.
even freehold. Yeah, 99-year
Okay.
leasehold. I mean, in Singapore we have freehold, so we're all surprised that he bought a leasehold property. But the thing is, it's a great location. It sits on top of a MTR station. Yeah, right above the MTR station.
So I have a quick question, right? Does a
Yes.
foreign investor can able to own a freehold in Singapore?
Yes, so foreign investors can buy private residential property, okay, as long as it's not non-landed. So they buy strata title residential property. They're allowed to buy that. And these comes either in the 99-year leasehold or freehold. So these are the two types that are available for investors to buy into. Yeah, and of course, I mean, freehold is more attractive to them for
Yeah.
those that can afford.
So he spent that much money, but still a leasehold. That's like how
Yeah.
attractive Singapore real estate market really is. No, that's interesting.
Exactly.
Because like usually it's like if you buy a core asset, you want to buy everything, get in full control, right?
Exactly.
So that's what I used to do is I think I told you my background before. I work for a real estate fund, and then if we spend that much money, we're like, okay, no matter what, we have to get that piece of like freehold. We have to control everything. But then so I think that's interesting. I think it's something that like I've always heard a lot about Singapore real estate market and how attractive it is. But then that show a glimpse of how it's like. So with that, right? Because obviously right now is almost July, and then would you mind telling the audience a really quick update what's going on in the market?
Sure. Well, I mean, let me just go back to Mr. Dyson again. After he bought that 73 million super penthouse, he bought a 45 million good class bungalow, and for that he owns the land and the house.
Oh, okay, that's good.
freehold.
At least you got that.
So within like 3 or 4 months, he spent over 100 million buying real estate in Singapore. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
crazy.
really headlines for during that period. Yeah. So yeah, back to your question. Over the last 2 months, because of the COVID situation, I would say real estate activities almost came to a standstill during the lockdown. We did see some transaction going on with virtual viewing. All right, so which is good news. A lot of the off plans were actually transacted. Okay.
Really?
So
Wow. Okay.
yeah. It was amazing. I mean, being a realtor for over 20 years, I was a bit surprised. It just shows the kind of confidence buyer have with the local market. Yeah. So during our COVID lockdown, we were locked down for about like 2 months. There was still ongoing transaction from local buyers as well as foreign buyers as well. Yeah. So what I foresee is moving forward. I've asked a lot of so-called people in the industry. Their gut feel is prices may fall maybe around about 5%. Thereabouts. Yeah, moving forward. But developers are giving some small discounts to entice to stimulate sales, and which is working quite well. In fact, the latest I heard is quite a bit of a Chinese buying some high-end project in District 2. Yeah, that was pretty surprising. I think I'm sure you heard of the revenge buying at those Louis Vuitton and Hermes stores.
Yeah.
And I see that happening in our showroom. So it's pretty amazing, you know. So I think the high-end market should still hold. What we're watching is really the transaction numbers, whether it goes up, down, or remains stable. But I think as long as our local unemployment rate doesn't spike, I feel that our real estate market will still be resilient. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, it's sidetrack a little bit, right? Because like the whole virtual viewing thing is a really big topic in our industry. Because a lot of people obviously think that it's nice to have, it's not a must have. But it seems like now the time that is showcased, that obviously from your perspective at the moment, the cases, seems like there are some, you know, activities driven by virtual viewing, but it's something that like, even for myself, because like I always debate with my friends about property tech and it's a big topic for like among us. But you know, like, so you know, like just now you cover a lot of different regions, right? And by the way, thank you. That was actually really, really good. Like even like I have been to Singapore, I think last year around March. And then, so when you talk about different districts, in my head was just like walking around the beautiful country, different areas and so on, just having that in my mind. So with all the popular areas for foreign investor or property types, do you think there is something that is a bit overrated or underrated?
Okay. Well, before COVID-19, we saw a big surge in the big size luxury condominiums, okay, that was bought up by primarily the Chinese investors, okay. So I think this luxury market will continue to perform well as long as, you know, well, we're having our general election soon, and as long as you know, the election results doesn't shock, you know, the world, then I think the demand for high-end real estate will continue, because if the ruling party continues, you know, to get into parliament, then it will probably be business as usual. I feel that probably the commercial property will take a harder hit with this COVID situation. So I'm actually quite negative on retail, shops, and office space. Office space especially because over the last two months, a lot of us are working from home. In fact, a lot of us are still working from home. So I think a lot of the, you know, big corporations will look at reducing commercial space, you know, office space, moving in the future. Yeah, and so I think that sector will get a hit. Yeah, and prior to COVID, our prices have gone up quite a bit. So I think yeah, that will be a sector that we'll watch very closely. That means the office sales and leasing.
I see. I think that a couple of my friends were talking about before too in Hong Kong, before COVID, they're like, okay, yeah, Singapore real estate market is booming. I think it's kind of attractive to go in. And at the same time, is that obviously COVID-19 really affects everything. And now everyone still is like, hey, I'm still interested. I'm still looking at it. But at the same time is that they want to see, you know, where the opportunity lies, where if their assets, for example, are going down, maybe it's a good time for them to go in. So I think so for some people it's a miss, it's unfortunate, you know, but for some people it's a treasure. So I think it depends on which side you're on, which, you know,
exactly.
Because it's, you know, like before I was thinking about this whole conversation with you, and I was like, hey, if you're someone that experience with cross-border and working with different investors and partners, I think that it would be nice to understand more, because it's very rare that you have someone like yourself that work with different people, have the experience. So, you know, we talked just now before we talked about how you get started in Singapore real estate market, you know, with Hong Kong and Japan and so on. Would you mind telling the audience more also about your experience with cross-border investing, with facilitating that process?
Okay. Well, I started my real estate career after university. So that was like when I was 24.
That's a long time.
And yeah, and that's right smack in the Asian financial crisis. Yeah. So so in a sense, I was also fortunate to experience the slowdown during SARS. Yeah, and then subsequently the US subprime crisis. So and now COVID. So my real estate career is peppered with a lot of crisis. So I think over the years, it has proven that the best time for cross-border investment is actually during crisis. Yeah. So the astute investors, who have studied a certain market, will take the opportunity presented by any crisis to enter the market.
Yeah.
And many good properties, will be available for sale during such times. Especially markets like Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo, where land is scarce, a lot of heavily built up, big developers hoarding on to real estate, So I think these are markets where the best time to buy is during a crisis. Yeah. So I would say for cross-border investment, try to observe the big money. Like for example, if we talk about investing in Japan, we observe a lot of big money in Singapore going into Japan. Yeah. So because we are also helping big developers, family wealth to buy into Japan. So really these big money are entering the market. So I mean, we can all agree that whether is it the stock market or FX, it's always the big money that moves the market. So when it comes to cross-border investment, I would say the advice to audience is try to get information about the big money flow. Yeah, which country are they entering? A sovereign wealth fund, especially. Yeah. So that's what I have to say to whoever is listening in.
That's a good tip. It's really, really good tip because even for us, when we work in the professional real estate fund before, same thing is that there's always bigger players that see maybe projected things a bit ahead of time. So if you can see where the money is going, it kind of already help you to guide you to think about, hey, should I even consider those area? And what if no one's really looking into my area? Like, what's that mean? Is it because I'm just too smart, I'm too early? Or simply that I'm wrong, right? So it's something that like everyone does, and something that obviously for investing is concerning sometimes when everyone's going towards it. But big players, it's very rare to make mistakes because that's what they're known for. But so during this whole experience, right? What type of clients how do you have, and what's their background usually?
Okay, of course, when I started off, I also did public housing in Singapore, did the sales and lease of public housing. Then subsequently, I have a chance to serve the high net worth clients that buy multi-million-dollar properties. I also get in touch with institutional clients that are capable of buying hotels and shopping malls in excess of 100 million US. So so these are the clients that over the years I have opportunity to work with. And the other interesting group would be the expatriates that relocate from US, from Europe to Singapore. We also serve clients that are relocating from China and India. So because in Singapore there are lots of MNCs that set up shop here. So we have opportunities to serve the senior management from CEO downwards to help them with their housing. So that's really good experience, interacting with all these expatriates from all over the world.
So like through that, right? Because it's something that I'm always curious to, working with like Singaporean, Hong Kong people, Indians or expats and many, many more. Do you think that when it comes to real estate, how do they think differently and how do they approach it? Because it's something that for my past before, I always had to speculate what the other investors, buyer or seller are thinking. And so I was kind of curious too, like when you're working with so many of them, and I'm sure you're really hands-on, so I'm sure you know more than most people. So I just want to know, like, what's your take on that?
Right. So I think when it comes to investors, investors from all over the world, they look at the same thing. They want good location, they want value for money, right? They want a value buy. So that's the same. Unless the people that comes in, they're buying a property that they will stay. Okay, then maybe the numbers are not so important. It's something that, you know, it's the heart that's more important. They want to buy something that they like, you know. Whereas for investors, it's really a lot about the numbers. The numbers must make sense for them. Then they will sign the check. You know, as for clients of these different nationality, usually, you know, if I have a chance, you know, because I'm a trained numerologist, so if I have a chance to know their birthday, you know, I can kind of read how they think, you know, how they make decision. It's very interesting. So in our study of numerology, we can, from their birth date, we can know how a person actually uses more of the head or more of the heart, you know. So in that sense, I may tailor my presentation differently. And of course, if they come as a couple, husband and wife, you know, if I know their numbers, then I could also tell who is in charge, who calls the shot.
Can you teach me how to do it? No, can you teach me how to do it? I think I need it. Like, I think I need that kind of skill set.
Okay, you can come and attend my class.
Wow. I would go Singapore all the way. Maybe I might next time I stop by in Singapore. Obviously, I will meet up with you too.
We can talk about that.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
So I actually teach agents how to read numbers. So that's a little skill related to sales and marketing. Yeah, it's very fun because you know, there's some group of buyers that they don't care about numbers. You know, you supply them with all the facts and figures, the numbers, they will just put aside. What they want is they step in, they feel good, they buy. Whereas on the other hand, there will be this group of people that they must look at numbers. You know, they base their buying, you know, on numbers. So it's a lot of analysis here. So by knowing a person's date of birth, you know, I know how much numbers to present and when to stop.
maybe after this call, I'll give you mine and then you tell me too, because I kind of need to like reevaluate how the way I look at things sometimes.
Sure. I'm more than happy to share that with you. And
that'll
of course,
be cool. Yeah.
well, you can always ask Ariana that introduced us together. So I kind of like read her like a book. She was quite amazed when I had some time and I shared with her. You know.
Oh damn, that's crazy. So you know, like you work with different people, right? And then something that I obviously want the audience to understand more too. You know, obviously you have that skill set. Not many have that skill set and have the knowledge. But then, you know, a lot of overseas investors are bound to work with many different partners, right? Or people to work together, like lawyers, you know, accountants, maybe project manager, like someone like a real estate agent, or many different experts, right? Yeah, I want to know, like, what is your methods? Like, what is your method when you find investors or partners from different regions? And then how do you find them and how do you trust them to work together?
Right. So, in terms of finding these people, I usually will rely on network. Yeah, a lot of our business come through word of mouth, through introduction. Like two of us, how we got to know each other. Yeah, it's because we had a common friend. Yeah, so they connected us. Same thing for my business partner in Hong Kong. It was also connected through a mutual friend. So they know that I'm doing a serious business. I'm you know, settle into my real estate career. I'm not going to like switch job or whatever, right? So they feel safe to recommend my services to the other partner. So as for me, when I choose to work with a different partner, is really what we call the chemistry, right? When you sit down and you start talking, we'll exchange ideas, we will share our common values, our vision. And that's at the point of time I determine whether, you know, it's a good fit, yeah. And so that's how I work with my real estate partners. Whereas as for clients, then a lot of time is really, as I mentioned, the chemistry. So fortunately for me, the chemistry I read it off through the date of birth, you know. So that's how I identify, you know. And of course the when you interact with people, you can also sense it. You based on the accumulated experience, you have a kind of a sensing whether that buyer is serious, or he's just shopping, or he's just trying to fool around.
Which happens quite a lot, actually.
I was actually conned before, so
really.
So you'd be surprised. Yeah.
Damn. Maybe you have looked into my birthday before that. It's like, it seems like chemistry is pretty good so far. So
Yeah, I'm sure we have good chemistry working together.
Because
I think most important, I always believe in the law of attraction. If we are professional, then we will attract professional partners and good clients. So to me, I always make sure that we try to do our job good and well first. Then we can attract clients that can appreciate the kind of work that we do. So if I myself or my company is no good, then I cannot expect us to attract the right kind of customers. So I strongly believe in that law of attraction a lot. Yeah.
That's really good. I think a lot of audience can learn from that, because when I talk about real estate, right, a lot of my friends are like, I don't know what is the other part are doing, the experts are doing, or they really they're telling me the full picture or not. And I was like, hey, I don't even know if you really know what you want yet. If you don't know what you want, do you think that you'll find someone that actually know what they present to you? It's kind of like a logic, right? It's kind of like this logic thing, and that it's something that I think a lot of people like you, for example, right? I'm sure you always see different people, you have experience. But then I think sometimes it's you have to do your market research, really know what your intention is. Are you a number guy, or you are a more artsy person that's go with the feelings? And you have to be honest with it. Hey, you know what? I'm a feeling person. I want to buy something, but maybe you'll find someone else to help you think about the number side, because they'll be the one who's like, hey, you know what? Hey, calm down. I don't want to buy something that you like, but first of all, let's think about the numbers first. It's to compensate that. So when you say the whole thing out, I realized right away is that, that's an interesting thing about real estate, is that it's something more than just numbers. It's a feeling you get. At the same time, it's more than just feeling. It's because, it's already factual business. So I'm actually kind of appreciate that you pointed out. And yeah, I know it's kind of weird, but so thank you. That was really interesting. Yeah. So so I think before you mentioned that a lot of Singapore investors looking to Japan market, which is obviously you decide to expand that. I just want to know how's your experience with that so far, and and same thing, of Japan market obviously hit really badly, and I just want to know your view on it, and then how do you feel about the long run?
Okay. My entry into the Japanese market is actually very interesting. It all started because I go to Japan every year, 25 years ago. Since 25 years ago, I go to Japan every year because I go to attend a big ceremony in Japan. That's where the shrine that I pray is. So I go there every year, and being a real estate guy, naturally will roam around Tokyo and look at the real estate, right? And it was about 6-7 years ago. Then I realized, hey, this market is actually good, but why is price not appreciating yet? Then that's why I started to learn more about the economy and the real estate, and slowly the tourism numbers started to go up. And I realized, hey, that's really the time to do something about it. And I started to look out for hotels for sale and just try to bring it to local developers to see who wants to have a piece of Japan. That's how I started. And slowly I discovered there are some Singaporeans or in Singapore companies that own Japanese real estate. So it became more and more interesting. And then subsequently I found a broker in Tokyo that speaks English. That's very important. Language is very important because I don't really speak Japanese. I may look like one, but my Japanese is really very elementary. So that's how I got started slowly, and finally it materialized into a recruiting company, a Japanese recruiting company in Singapore headhunted me because the Tokyo head office wanted to set up office in Singapore. So yeah, it was just a very interesting experience. Because I at that point of time I didn't run a big company, so I wasn't like the famous guy in the Singapore real estate market, but it was interesting how things evolved, and as I said, law of attraction, it just happened. People in the market just introduce and put things together, and that's how I got myself 2 feet into the Japanese market.
I think so some people that I know, similar experience, they travel a lot to the place and they fall in love with the location. And I feel like people in real estate is because they kind of fall in love with things that no one can see, which is the area, the neighborhood, and they started becoming like, hey, I actually know quite a lot about what's going on. And then you start going toward deeper and deeper, and you just stumble upon the industry. And I think it's something that you just mentioned is kind of something that I echo, because I used to work, one of the projects we had before I was working on is a residential building in Shinjuku. And then same thing is like, actually finding someone can speak English well in Japan is actually not easy. And then especially in real estate sector. And then it make a huge difference because, when you're overseas, you find someone that you can connect to and talk to, it really saves a lot of time. Whereby, a lot of times that people keep forgetting is that have different culture, the way they explain. So you don't want any misunderstanding in between. So when you mentioned about, finding someone in English can speak English, and it's actually to a lot of people don't realize that actually only a small group of people in Japan can speak really well and can communicate. And then, but it's very important if you can't speak a language, find someone who can speak a language. Otherwise, it's a lot of headache, and which I've experienced before. It's not easy. So
Totally. So for us, our strength really lies in the fact that, like in our Tokyo office, half my colleagues are non-Japanese. So my colleague speaks English and Mandarin. So quite a few of them are actually from Taiwan and China. So in fact, my Tokyo office, we are the biggest real estate company in Tokyo that serves the foreign market. That means a foreign investor. We have I dare to say we have the biggest market share. And in fact, this year is supposed to be 2020 Olympics. My colleagues in the leasing side, they actually were appointed agents for the International Olympic Committee, the advance party, to look for real estate when they first started working on the Olympic project. So that's something very exciting for us, something I'm very proud of, working with my colleagues in the Tokyo office. I think they've done well in that respect.
I just I would talk about, actually, to be honest, in my head, there's actually more and more questions flowing out. But then, it's more important thing is I want the audience to know more about, what to do about different markets. Do you have any tips and advice you can share with the audience when choosing different regions to country? Like, for example, Singapore, Japan, and even Japan and Singapore, how do you compare apple to apple?
Right. So, of course, my advice is, real estate is a long-term investment. You don't go in, speculate 1 year, 2 year, and try to make a lot of money. You never know. Like the COVID situation has proven us, that things can really, happen out of the blue, and if you're not planned for the long term, you get burned. So I would say investors must always look at the fundamentals of the respective market that they want to invest. The basic demand and supply on real estate, study of that is always very important. Can't go, you never go wrong looking at fundamentals. And then of course, investing in various regions, the political and currency risk is something really to watch out for. And with that, then, studying the numbers, investors can safely put their money into whatever market when they have, done their homework. But of course, if there's no time to do the homework, then they should speak to brokers who are really specialized in those market, brokers that are experienced in the market, you know. And of course, don't just listen to one, listen to a couple, read a lot of news, reliable news about the market. Yeah, talk to various people, and then, you know, then you can form your own opinion. I think that's very important. And then from there, discuss your objective with the local broker. You know, what is your objective of putting money in that market? For example, in Singapore, are you buying a second home, or you are looking to just park your excess funds, or just diversifying your portfolio? All right. So I think between Singapore and Japan market, for as far as foreigners are concerned, I think the major concern, I feel, my little advice to investors is the additional stamp duty. That means the foreign tax that the Singapore government has placed, you know, on the foreigners buying into Singapore real estate. So it's pretty hefty. You know, your foreigners are paying like 20% more than locals.
Wow, that's a lot. It's quite a lot, actually.
That's a lot of money. It's 20% more. That is why, you know, as very conscientious brokers in Singapore, we are actually taking a lot of Singapore investors into Japan, because the upside is so much better, and the market is mature. A lot of properties are freehold. The yield is in fact better than Singapore, and you don't have to pay foreign tax. You see, I think that is one of the main so-called selling point of Japan, and that's why I got into the business. Of course, looking forward, we hope the Olympic will materialize next year, and after the Olympics, we are looking at casino projects. I mean, if we compare Singapore and Japan, Singapore real estate actually went up because of the two casino, or the two integrated resort that was built. So my simple question is, if Japan follows the same footstep by building the IR, the casino, the convention centers, and whatever that comes with it, will there be more foreigners going into the country? You know, I think the answer is definitely yes. Yeah. And they definitely need more than 2 IRs, because you know, the Japanese are actually gamblers. They play their pachinko, right? Which is actually quite boring. Yeah.
And then,
right,
Japan is quite big too, you know. So and Japan is an entertainment hub. So like, I think that like, I think they definitely need quite a lot, and I think that is good for not only for the sentiment, because, you know, Japan, like, I love Japan. Like, when you say once a year, that's something that I hope that I can do. Like, I usually do like once every 2 years or 3 years. And every time I go there, it's like, wow, I don't want to leave the country. It's beautiful, it's great, you know. And then good food, good. Everyone's nice, and then it's beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then, you know, I think that was a great takeaway, and also advice for audience. I'm gonna steal some bits here and bits, you know, from you. I'll steal from myself. I want to tell people about what's going on. And then, so for the people who might be interested to learn more about, you know, Singapore real estate and Japan real estate, how would you suggest them to reach out to you and talk to you more?
Yeah, you know, I will provide you with my contact number later. You can put it up on your website together with my email. So yeah, just send me a text, WhatsApp, Skype,
and my birth date.
Yeah, sure. You know, it really helps, because it's very interesting. You know, I always stress a lot on chemistry between broker and customers as well, because we want to give our best to our clients, but at the same time, we want to find clients that are receptive to our very honest opinion. But the funny thing is, sometimes you cannot always find such clients. You know, clients will always, there will be that group that have their own opinion, their way of thinking, you know. So yeah, it's just very interesting. So having, you know, the ability to read numbers and know the chemistry really helps. It really makes our job a lot more effective, and both parties are happy with each other. You know, I think that's very important. It really contributes to the so-called very nice experience in investing in whichever country. Yeah.
I see. No, and then I think that like that's really good to summarize everything. And then obviously I'll include everything in the show notes. I just want to say thanks for your time and effort, and it's a really interesting topic. And then thanks for your being generous with your tips, because I think you cover so much more about the location, the sentiment, the insights that a lot of audience, I'm sure you get a lot out of it. So I'll say thank you. And then I already hope to do a part 2 with you. We're thinking about doing a long form in the future, thinking about the journey, and we have other different experts come together to share different insight. So I really hope that I have a part 2. And then again, thanks a lot. And then I really appreciate it. And then, I'll send you my birthday.
I like that. Yeah. So yeah, definitely I look forward to part 2. I think whatever we do, the ultimate objective is really to provide the listeners, the clients out there, the consumers out there with up-to-date information, things that are happening on the ground, so that they can make the best decision. To us, nothing beats having clients buy a real estate that they feel that they have made the best decision.
For sure. All right. Okay. So I'll let you know next time, and then I guess until next time. Then I think.
Yeah. Yep. Good. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for your time. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Care.
Thank you. You too. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. What do you think of this episode? Please let us know in the comment below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep in touch with us for upcoming videos. But before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Patina Design Lab. They're the one who help us in making our brand, art direction, as well as these videos. They are a strategic design consultancy firm to help businesses with a wide range of design services, from industrial design, branding, graphic design, art direction, content creation, and many more. They are a very talented bunch, and I urge you to check out their website for their work. That's all for today, and see you next time. Cheers.